years, and it's emotional intelligence. What is your EQ? And how important that is for success in life. And Maggie's going to talk to us a little bit about how we can help guide our kids towards solid EQ.
Well, I think the first thing, Adrienne, about coming up with that EQ, which is most important because it is the basis of our interpersonal skills, and that usually is what drives our success in life, in relationships, and also in our business or career. So being able to understand our emotions and what's going on inside our own inner environment and being able to control that is what we're focusing on here.
And we have talked quite a bit in the last few weeks about our own emotional state as parents and how we have to have our own emotional house in order before we can help our children, and how we can employ certain techniques to sort of keep our cool. And to keep perspective. Now you're going to talk about kids and how we can help them to sort of navigate the range of emotions.
I think one of the most important things is for parents to remember, if our kids are losing it, it doesn't mean we are a bad parent and we need to react to that and shut them down and stop them from doing that right away. Rather, it's important that we help them release those emotions, release frustration, and release anger safely.
Yeah. Often we want to deny our kids their emotions because it makes our lives difficult. If they're very angry, if they're very sad, we negate it by saying, oh, well, that's not a big deal and you shouldn't be sad about that, instead of letting them feel the way they feel.
Right. And actually when we teach them to negate their own emotions, then they end up being numbed out and not in touch with what is a very powerful force for them in terms of giving feedback and guiding their lives.
Well, why don't you show us your emotional chart, your emotions chart, which I think is helpful to help kids to understand what they are feeling by identifying with this chart. Now you just need to tip that note over here, tip it up a little bit that way. There you go. Now you can see the different range of emotions. And I remember taking a parenting course years ago and you know, have your child point to what they're feeling. Are you feeling shy? Are you feeling angry? Are you feeling humiliated? And have them identify with the face.
Yeah, for sure. Kids love this because lots of times it's easier for them to see it and say, that's what it is, that's how I'm feeling, rather than we want to say, well, how are you feeling anyway? And lots of times they don't know.
Right.
And this is about giving our children the language to be able to express themselves and to be able to say, you know, I guess I was feeling disappointed.
Right.
Because what we really want to look at is that release the anger, release the frustration, and then find out what emotions are underneath it. And that's when a child really feels heard and we make that bond that's so important.
And maybe just a reconnect after that, you know, somewhere maybe an hour or two later after whatever has occurred, to reconnect and just say, do you remember how you might have felt then? Let's talk about it. You just mentioned here that you need to proactively avoid tension buildup by, you know, talking to your kids about how they're feeling.
Absolutely. And also by doing things like maybe changing their schedule so that they can go for a swim or something like that after supper or before supper, if that's the very difficult time period in your family. And do kids have the time to run, jump, tumble, and play?
Right.
And another way to really help your child ground themselves emotionally is to play with them. And that means to be really present with them and let them lead the way instead of us organizing them.
Right.
There are some incredible studies that have showed that children with emotional and behavioral problems can really overcome those by 15 minutes of really present play with their parent.
Right. So when your child says, no, I want you to be Batman, Mom, be Batman. Or if
That's
your child says, I want you to be Spider-Man, be Spider-Man, instead of thinking, oh, I really need to get up and cook dinner, which we've all been guilty of doing.
Absolutely. Even if you can only give it 5 minutes, do it for 5 minutes, set the clock, and then after that.
Okay. Maggie, we've been talking about little kids and their emotions, but we need to talk about bigger kids, and you have a workshop coming up, actually, for parents and teenagers.
Absolutely. Communicating and connecting with your teen. And I think that emotions are raging in both teens and parents usually at that time, so we'll be definitely looking at how do we keep our cool, how do we turn the power struggles into powerful relationships, and what are the important things that really help us be able to bond and keep the influence we want with our teens.
Okay, and that's on Thursday night at the Sandman Inn. Maggie Reigh, thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
Okay.